Wow, che diamine sarà?
Beth! Please tell me, where did you find that thing?
In the water, Doctor! In the sea!
In the golden age of flying saucers and Cold War paranoia, one creature came crashing down from the stars and made movie history. In 1957, audiences watched in awe as a fragile rocket from Venus brought something back, something that wasn't meant to survive Earth. With stop-motion magic, European ruins, and a creature you almost feel sorry for, 20 Million Miles to Earth became one of the most unforgettable sci-fi tragedies of the decade. These are 16 weird facts about the film that turned an alien invasion into a heartbreak story and made Ray Harryhausen a legend. Number 1. The creature's name was never spoken in the film. You'll never hear anyone in 20 Million Miles to Earth call the alien by its name. Not once. The word Ymir never leaves a character's mouth, even though it's now one of the most recognized creatures in sci-fi history. The name only appeared in Harryhausen's production notes and promotional materials long after the movie's release. This gave the monster an eerie mystique. It wasn't a villain with a title or a species, it was simply the thing from Venus, lost and scared in a strange new world. The silence around its name made it feel even more alien, like something humans couldn't begin to classify. And maybe that's why fans still call it Ymir. Not because the movie told them to, but because the legend grew on its own.
Grandpa? Grandpa!
Number 2. Harryhausen's first time filming in Rome shaped his entire visual identity. When Ray Harryhausen brought his stop-motion workshop overseas, it wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a creative awakening. Setting up in Rome gave him access to ancient architecture, warm Mediterranean light, and a completely different visual rhythm than the studio backlots of Hollywood. He wandered the streets sketching statues and studying ruins, imagining how a creature from another planet might move among them. That contrast, ancient human history versus something cosmic and new, became a signature Harryhausen mood that he'd carry into every film after this one. You could say 20 Million Miles to Earth didn't just bring an alien to Rome, it brought Rome into the mind of a visual effects legend. Number 3. The film's original title was completely different. Before it was 20 Million Miles to Earth, the studio didn't even know what to call it. Early drafts floated around with names like The Giant Ymir and The Beast from Space, both rejected for sounding too cheap, even by 1950s sci-fi standards. Columbia Pictures finally settled on a title that meant absolutely nothing scientifically, but looked huge on a poster. 20 Million Miles sounded cosmic, terrifying, and impossible, exactly what audiences wanted. It evoked a distance so vast it felt mythic, like a creature crawling across space itself just to reach Earth. And that gamble worked. The title alone was enough to pull kids into theaters long before they even saw a frame of Ymir.
Come here. Come here. Observe me, Akata. Observe our strange friend. Look how much he has grown in but a few hours.
It's unbelievable!
Think, Marisa.
Number 4. The creature's movements were inspired by elephants. To make Ymir feel alive, Ray Harryhausen didn't look to lizards or reptiles, he studied elephants. He spent days at the Los Angeles Zoo watching how they shifted weight, dragged their feet, and swung their bodies with slow, deliberate power. Every frame of Ymir's movement came from those sketches and observations. That's why the creature never moves like a mindless monster. It has a strange grace. Each step looks heavy, careful, and almost sad, like it's trying to understand the ground beneath it. The animation carries a kind of empathy that few monster movies had at the time. It's a subtle detail, but once you notice it, Ymir doesn't look like a beast at all. It looks like a lost animal trying to survive in a world that fears it.
The size.
8 days ago, it was about this tall. The scientists here believe that the Earth's atmosphere has upset its metabolic rate. The more air it breathes, the more tissue it builds, and the bigger it gets.
Number 5. The story almost took place in Chicago. In the earliest drafts, the crashed Venus capsule didn't land off the coast of Italy. It splashed down near Lake Michigan. The movie was originally supposed to unfold in the heart of Chicago, with the creature rampaging through American streets and skylines. But Ray Harryhausen pushed to move the setting overseas. He wanted ancient stone backdrops, places where the alien's presence would look both beautiful and tragic. Rome and Sicily offered ruins, statues, and cathedrals that no Hollywood backlot could match. That one decision transformed the movie's tone. Instead of another generic monster in America flick, 20 Million Miles to Earth became a strange poetic collision between old civilization and new terror. Number 6. The Colosseum wasn't shot on location. That unforgettable finale, the Ymir battling tanks atop the Roman Colosseum, looks like it was filmed right in the heart of Italy. But the truth is, almost all of it was smoke, mirrors, and miniatures. Only a few background plates were captured in Rome. The rest was painstakingly built and shot back in California. Harryhausen and his team constructed a detailed scale model of the Colosseum and composited it with live-action soldiers, tanks, and explosions. Every crumble of stone and puff of dust was animated frame by frame. The result was pure movie magic. Audiences in 1957 had no idea they were watching a handmade illusion. And even today, the blend between real footage and miniature artistry still holds up frighteningly well. Number 7. The Ymir's skin tone was adjusted in the colorized version to look more reptilian. When the film was colorized decades later, Ray Harryhausen personally oversaw how Ymir would finally get his colors. Instead of the bright green used on the original model, he opted for muted olive and yellowish tones, a mix that made the creature feel less cartoonish and more biologically believable. The new palette brought out textures most audiences had never noticed: the scaled ridges, the ribbed chest, the faint shimmer along its spine. Suddenly, Ymir didn't just move like a living being, he looked like one too. It's a rare case where colorization actually honored the artistry instead of ruining it, because this time, the artist himself guided every shade. Before we go on, if you're loving these hidden monster movie secrets, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow and keeps these classic sci-fi stories alive. And hey, we're just getting started. The next set of facts dives straight into the chaos behind the Ymir's creation, lost props, and the shocking original ending Columbia didn't want you to see. All right, back to the mayhem. Number 8. Harryhausen himself appears briefly in the film, uncredited. Blink and you'll miss it. But Ray Harryhausen actually sneaks into his own movie. During the chaotic Rome scenes, he can be spotted among the fleeing crowd, just another terrified citizen running from his own creation. It's a tiny cameo most fans didn't even notice until decades later. For Harryhausen, it was more than a joke. He often said he liked to be there with the creatures, even if only for a moment. It made the destruction feel personal, as if the puppeteer was stepping into the nightmare he'd built frame by frame. It's the kind of quiet Easter egg that perfectly fits him, the calm artist, hidden inside the panic he brought to life. Number 9. A real US Air Force colonel advised the rocket scenes. To make the movie's opening feel authentic, Columbia Pictures brought in a real Air Force colonel to consult on the rocket design, capsule interiors, and astronaut dialogue. He made sure the hardware and jargon matched what the public expected from 1950s space research. This extra layer of realism gave the film a surprising credibility, especially for a sci-fi story about a Venus mission. The cockpit switches, suits, and rescue procedures all echoed early test flight footage from the era. That small touch made audiences believe, at least for a few minutes, that a manned flight to Venus might actually be possible someday. Number 10. The Venus egg was made from a rubber balloon and plaster. The alien egg that hatches Ymir wasn't a fancy prop. It was a low-budget miracle. The effects team built it using a rubber balloon coated with plaster and painted to look extraterrestrial. Under the hot studio lights, though, the thing kept softening, cracking, and even collapsing mid-shot. They had to rebuild it several times, patching it between takes while Harryhausen animated the emerging creature, one painstaking frame at a time. The result looks seamless, but behind the scenes, it was chaos. It's a perfect snapshot of 1950s sci-fi ingenuity, when alien technology was really just glue, balloons, and a whole lot of patience. Number 11. It was one of Harryhausen's toughest stop-motion jobs. Animating Ymir wasn't just another creature assignment, it was a nightmare of precision. Unlike most of his earlier monsters, Ymir had to share the screen constantly with real actors, animals, and moving sets. Every twitch, blink, or step had to sync perfectly with footage that had already been shot, frame by painstaking frame. Harryhausen described it as the most exhausting project I'd done up to that point. More than 400 composite shots were required, and one mistake could ruin hours of work. He often animated through the night, adjusting tiny armatures with surgical focus. The irony? All that effort made Ymir feel more human than most of the film's actual characters, which is exactly what made audiences pity it instead of fear it. Number 12. The creature had 2 complete models, and both survived. Most movie monsters from the 1950s didn't make it past the final cut. They were burned, lost, or recycled for parts. But Ymir was different. Harryhausen built 2 full armature models for the film, one used for close-ups and another for wider destruction scenes. Against all odds, both survived storage, travel, and decades of decay. They were eventually restored and displayed in museums and exhibitions, becoming holy relics for stop-motion fans. It's almost poetic. The creature that couldn't survive Earth in the movie somehow outlived nearly every other monster of its time in real life. Number 13. The Emir's roar was borrowed from other monster movies. That eerie growl that echoes through the Roman streets wasn't unique at all. It was recycled sound design. Columbia's audio team pulled from a grab bag of monster roars used in films like It Came From Beneath the Sea, and even tweaked elements from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, to give Ymir its distinct voice. The result was a strange hybrid of familiar tones, part reptile, part elephant, part nightmare. Fans who listen closely can even catch brief hints of those earlier creatures buried under the distortion. It's classic 1950s movie magic: reuse, remix, and disguise. Back then, originality often came from how cleverly you could reassemble what already existed. Number 14. The original ending was much darker. In the first drafts, Ymir wasn't supposed to die in the Colosseum. It was meant to stumble into the sea, wounded and alone, sinking beneath the waves as the military watched helplessly from the shore. The idea was to end on tragedy, not triumph. But Columbia Pictures wanted something bigger and more spectacular for the finale. The ancient Colosseum became the perfect stage for one last battle. Grand, symbolic, and emotionally devastating. It turned a quiet death into a mythic showdown. Still, that lost ending lingers, an image of the creature fading beneath the water, forgotten and misunderstood, which might have been the most haunting of all. Number 15. It was the last black and white Harryhausen feature. 20 Million Miles to Earth marked the end of an era. After this film, Ray Harryhausen never returned to black and white. Starting with the seventh voyage of Sinbad in 1958, his worlds exploded into color. A bold shift that changed how audiences saw fantasy and sci-fi forever. Color gave his creatures new life, but it also meant saying goodbye to the moody shadows and gothic textures that made his early work feel so mysterious. The Ymir was the last of those gray-toned monsters that looked like they crawled right out of a nightmare. It's fitting, really. The final black and white Harryhausen creature was also his most tragic one. Number 16. It inspired scenes in Jurassic Park and Cloverfield. Decades after its release, 20 Million Miles to Earth was still echoing through Hollywood. Steven Spielberg openly credited Ray Harryhausen's work, especially the Ymir rampage through Rome, as a major influence on how he staged the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. The mix of awe, danger, and sympathy came straight from Harryhausen's playbook. Later, the 2008 monster hit Cloverfield borrowed that same philosophy, a creature that isn't evil, just lost, panicking in a world it doesn't understand. Even the camera angles and destruction shots mirrored Harryhausen's handmade chaos. In other words, Ymir never really died on that Roman street. It just evolved, from stop motion to CGI, from myth to legacy. 20 Million Miles to Earth wasn't just another 1950s monster flick. It was a turning point. Ray Harryhausen turned rubber and metal into emotion, proving that even a creature from Venus could make audiences feel sympathy instead of fear. It mixed science fiction with sorrow, spectacle with soul. Decades later, that blend still hits. Every roar, every stumble through Rome, every frame Harryhausen moved by hand, it all feels alive. It's the kind of movie that reminds you monsters aren't born evil, they're just lost. So, which fact about 20 Million Miles to Earth surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more hidden stories from classic sci-fi cinema, make sure to subscribe. Big things are coming, and they're headed straight for Earth.